Once upon a time, in a far-off kingdom, a king lay on his deathbed. Summoned his only son, and he imparted his final commands, saying,
"Son, you shall be king after me. Your 3 sisters have no one but you to look after them. When it is time for them to marry, pluck a rose from the palace garden and throw it into the street. Whoever picks it up shall marry your eldest sister. Do the same for your 2nd and 3rd sisters."
Father, are you sure that is the best way?
"Yes, son."
Reluctantly, the son gave his word, and his father passed away. When the eldest sister had grown into a beautiful princess, it was time for her to marry, and she was told of their dad's instruction. "That's the silliest thing I ever heard. I'd rather not marry at all." But the brother, now king, plucked a rose and threw it into the street. Soon, a fine young count picked it up and was brought before the king.
"You summon me, your majesty."
You have been chosen as the husband of my eldest sister.
This is no way for a princess to marry.
Yet she thought, it could be worse. And so, she married the count. A couple of years later, it was time for the 2nd princess to marry. She was told of their dad's instruction, and she said, "This idea is ridiculous." But her brother reminded her of their father's command. Soon, a rich merchant picked up the rose. The merchant was summoned by the king, and he went to the king. The king said to him,
You have been selected to marry my sister.
But I am not even a nobleman.
This is my father's wish.
The 2nd sister grumbled but thought, "I might have fared worse." And so, she married the merchant. At last, it was Giulietta's turn, the youngest sister. A poor, lame water carrier picked up the rose, and was invited by the king, and was introduced to the king as Rags and Tatters. The king said to him,
You must marry my youngest sister, Giulietta.
This is impossible.
This is the way it must be. It is my father's wish.
The poor young princess wept, but the wedding proceeded. Giulietta went to live in a shabby hut with her new husband and his old mother.
"This is no place for fine clothes. Wear this rough dress and wooden shoes,"
said the old woman, wicked and cruel to the couple.
Why am I subjected to this hardship? A princess who enjoyed luxury and now living as a pauper in this shabby hut.
Giulietta wept as she toiled, but Rags and Tatters pitied her. One night, Giulietta dreamt she was in a grand palace. She awoke and told her husband, "I dreamt of a beautiful palace."
A dream is but a dream, my wife.
Both went back to bed, and in the morning, Giulietta was doing chores with the old woman. Few weeks later, Giulietta and her husband were sleeping at night. Giulietta dreamt she was at a rich and splendid banquet. With rare and fragrant flowers, the music is soft and pleasant. But as they were rising from the table, they saw a shabby man watching the banquet. "Look! Look!" cried a man at the table. "There is Rags and Tatters." Immediately Rags and Tatters was recognized, and his name was called out. In the twinkling of an eye, the dream vanished, and she told her husband about the dream.
I had the same beautiful dream.
Forget these dreams. It makes it harder for you here.
"Get used to the real world, girl," snapped the old woman, said the old woman. The old woman subjected Giulietta to the chores, and ensured she worked from dawn to dusk. The next night, however, she was back in the lovely palace again, richly clad, and with servants to wait on her. The banquet was more splendid than ever. But this time, before they sat down, In her dream, Julieta spoke to her assembled guests to make merry, but forbade everyone from mentioning rags and tatters. Yet, someone nearly did, but he caught himself just in time. In another dream, Julieta saw rags and tatters, and felt a sudden fondness. She said,
Poor man, what a good fellow he is. Come join us, Rags and Tatters, down here and enjoy the feast with us.
This time, the dream did not disappear. At the end of the hall, 2 golden thrones appeared. A fair young prince, his hair shone like the sun, and his eyes were of hyacinth blue, and his smile gladdened the heart of everyone. While the guests stood in amazement, he rose and said,
Welcome, my guests. My wife has entertained you. Now, let us all be merry.
He drew Julieta forward and placed her on the throne by his side. Then they danced and sang and were joyous, till the stars faded and daylight streamed through the windows of the hall. Then it was revealed by Rags and Tatters, who was actually Prince Florio of Portugal. He was enchanted by a wicked enchantress, who was the old woman. Prince Florio further explained in the dream that
The spell would break when a princess loved me enough to desire my company even in her splendor.
And since Julieta has grown fond of him in her dream, she has broken the spell. Rags and Tatters woke up and remembered who he was, hugged Julieta, and scolded the old woman, the wicked enchantress herself. Then he said to Julieta,
I was planted in your dreams to mock me and you broke the spell.
The couple discussed amongst themselves, and agreed to return to Portugal Palace, the prince's home. Prince Florio and Princess Julieta returned to Portugal in triumph, while the old woman was left in the hut. Prince Florio and Princess Julieta were welcomed dressed in royal attire, and got married again. They lived happily ever after, their love deepening as the years went by.
We are finally free.
And we shall be happy forever.
And so, in the end, true love conquered all, and they lived happily ever after. The 3 sisters are seen together having a feast for their late dad memorial party. Grateful to him that he gave instructions regarding their marriage, and it is the best decision of their life. Because their homes are blessed, and they are all happy with their husbands who is wealthy, kind, and generous. Proverbs 18 verse 22, He who finds a wife finds a good thing, and obtains favor from the Lord. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, and share.